Good morning, my fellow yogic travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too, as we continue to live, laugh, love, learn, linger, and live the life we love. Thursday, so it's story day. There's a story about a cancer doctor who had a young man who was a marathon runner and had to have his leg amputated at the hip to save his life. He was 24 and very, very angry about the loss. It seemed so unfair to him. And he was given to an art therapist to help work through his grief. And he began coming out of himself after a year or so. In fact, so much so that he went around to the hospital floor where there were other people who had losses of limbs. And he would go into somebody's room, pop off his leg, dance around, and tell the woman who was an opera singer who had both breasts lost in a mastectomy operation, hey, if I can dance, you can sing. And it was about another year later that the therapist decided he'd been through enough that he could move on. And so they were reviewing his work, and it was like art therapy. And right at the top of the drawings that he had made was the first one. I said, remember this one? And he said, oh, yeah. It was a picture of a vase that was cracked in the middle, so it could no longer function the way it was intended to. He said, oh, I remember that. Boy, I was so angry. And he said, but it's not finished. He said, all right. So she pushed the crayons over to him, and he took out the yellow. And right over the crack where it was broken, he put the yellow up and down. And he said, you see where it's broken? That's where the light shines in. So we all could make that particular analogy for ourselves. That's in our broken places where we have the potential, the opportunity to let something else in that can turn it around. You can't always have a silver lining behind every dark cloud, but many more, even in tragic situations. Nonetheless, all right, so journal writing for today, for those of you who are elevating the conversation, whether talking to other people about it, writing it down, or speaking to me directly, which I love. What gifts do you bring to this world? And do you prevent yourself from receiving gifts from other people? It's one thing to be a giver, better to give than to receive, they say, but you also have to be a field in which you allow other people to sow their seeds of generosity. So what gifts do you bring to this world, and how do you prevent yourself from receiving gifts from other people? All right, I'm still involved in the clutter thing because I'm working on it, so I can only be authentic by telling you what's going on in my life, and if it connects to something that's pan-human or universal, I love it. But I know that when I get tired or feeling lethargic and not motivated, that causes more stagnant energy to stack up. So I need a good kick in the ass to get going. Otherwise, I become a victim of my own laziness, not wanting to do it. It seems like such a big mess, I don't even want to start, right? But then it stacks up again. So I would say, don't do that. All right, my teacher reminds us that just like a young sapling needs to be fenced in so it won't get trampled by unintentional actions of people that didn't realize it was going to hurt the tree. Animals could eat its leaves or dig up its roots. But if it's protected, it can grow into a healthy tree that eventually will give you beautiful fruits, flowers. So there's some kind of meticulous care necessary for every person who begins this path. Yes, there's both personal and social ethics. They want you to work with your body. They tell you it's important to recognize how your breath affects your emotional moods. They teach you to deal with the stress of life by learning how to withdraw and relax temporarily for portions of the day, build it into your lifestyle, and then sit in silence, see what happens if you can just watch what's going on. Bring mindfulness to your daily life. And if you do this, you'll develop a certain kind of clarity, sharpness, alertness, agility. And that's what makes you free from the tensions that most people suffer from. And then you can learn to deal with your day's work with ease and dispatch. Skill in action, according to yoga. So just remember, tough situations don't last, tough people do. Recognize your worth as like a Swiss Army knife. You have so many different functions, so many different ways that you can use your skills to help out. So you have to find out what ignites your passion. That way you learn to pick your battles and not waste your energy. And then, of course, not only be behind yourself, but cheerlead for anybody who learns to kick ass in the right way. So one of the ways, tried and true, is go into nature. That's the beginning of the rediscovery of the wonder of life itself. Be immersed in that which is not made by human beings. And so that's where our job is, to return from the exile of the earth. We were kicked out of the garden, but this is a metaphorical of our spiritual experience. The promised land is not somewhere else. It's what we do to steward the earth energy. So before I go today, I'm going to tell you something you're never going to forget. And that's, remember, there are people who are above you holding a candle, lighting the way for you to see how to take your step forward. And you also hold a candle, because you're above those who are subordinate to you, and you're holding the light for them to take a step forward, right? Climb and lift, as they say. So listen to your thoughts, because your own belief system is nothing but thoughts you keep repeating to yourself. And just because you say them again and again, are they true? It seems you make them to be true. Pick better thoughts. Raise your consciousness above the level of where the difficulty seems to be. Just like on cloudy days, that's not a permanent climate. Sunshine never ceases, even though it may be obscured for a moment. So I always say, wipe the problem from your mind and put spirit there instead. That's the greatest temptation we have, is to go through what we think is practical material stages first, instead of appealing to spirit first, and then add the material stages. Seek ye first the kingdom, and all these other things will be added unto you, says JC. So remember, we all demonstrate in accordance with our inner convictions. What are you convinced of? Where is your faith? I hope you all see spirit where the trouble seems to be, because apparently that is the golden key.